is time. It is a dimension. It's a place where few dare to tread. You are now visiting the land of the starstruck. And the man that gets you starstruck is the superstar Mike Morris. And he now is ready to speak to you.
I'll choose to speak to them if I want to. Right now, I'm 50-50.
I can see that.
You know what? I've changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and talk to the people out there, the good people, my good friends out there we're in parts unknown right now, as Jim just said. That was Jim Rich, too, by the way, the big voice. So if you didn't know, you do now. And we choose to talk to you now. You're so starstruck already, aren't you?
Right. They're already just dazed.
I wish you'd say something. I've got plenty to say today. When you go 12-2 and you start looking at a dozen wins already, that starts to remind you of some things that I used to do in the past with a couple of really good teams. It's hard to get to 12-2 in the NFL, and we are doing something pretty special with a quarterback and that is rejuvenated and is rebooting his career as we watch every game. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But there's also another more serious thought that comes from this week of football, football related. A football player by the name of Randy Moss, who I played with back in '98 and '99, and an issue that we all know by now. I've been told it's liver cancer, and I'm not sure what stage it is or what the exact degree of severity would be. But anyway, it was just hard. It hit me like a ton of bricks when I found out about it. And I mean, you know him well, and probably have talked with him on a number of occasions. But he was a great, great kid, and I just hate this. This is happening. But he's the only person I would say on the face of the earth that will whip it, no matter what stage it's in. He will kill it. He will kill it. Okay, so I mean, I really mean that. He's such a freak and such an incredible talent that I just was so thrown by it. That I found out he had it, and I couldn't believe it. Of all people, Randy Moss. And your thoughts? I mean, I liked him. I love the guy.
Well, you obviously know him way, way better and on a completely different level than I do. I would just see sometimes the show, and I wasn't allowed to cross into that real side of Randy Moss. He wanted to give you the bravado to the media, but he was fair. He was honest. He didn't play favorites with the media. When he didn't want to talk, he didn't talk to any of us, which is great. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And, he was a wild hare at that age, but, that's the way he grew up, and he's a guy that made it on his own. He came... I remember watching that documentary about him at Rand University, right? Exactly. Where you graduated. The graduation was just outside of the gas station. That's where everybody hung. That was because he said that was an achievement in his hometown. That's how bad it was, the drugs and the trouble and everything that was out there to get him. And he overachieved and overcame all of those hurdles and adversities to become arguably the National Football League's greatest wide receiver of all time.
Yeah.
And there was so many layers to Randy because we would hear about it. Everybody, and you were great about it, and there were so many players that have followed that have been great and before you guys, charity-wise, and the work he did. And he did tons that he didn't want anybody to know he was up to. He was sneaking around doing stuff all the time. Remarkable stuff for kids and all of this stuff that he did because he felt that that's who he should be. That's how he should conduct himself. So he's this brash, in your face, F you to this, F you to that.
Oh, yeah.
But then he has a giant heart where he's helping all these little kids out there. And then it's not just one appearance. He has, lifetime connections with tons of kids out there.
He does.
That he never wanted anybody to know about.
I think Randy was so funny about the way he was perceived in the media and in the limelight that I actually believe he thought it was more fun to carry on being this wild hair that you spoke of, or the crazy guy, or the one that's just off on a tangent somewhere, than to admit that he was doing a lot of good things behind the scenes. He'd rather still keep with the bad boy image in media. And who cares? I don't care if they find out if I'm doing other stuff on the side, like helping the little gal out down in Mankato with her family for years and years, paying their bills and getting her through college. He put her through college. I know. And just people that would, he told me from time to time that he slept overnight at the hospital with a kid who was really sick at Children's, and would play Nintendo or something with him all night. And then he'd just take his Tuesday off and get slept up, and then come back and check into practice. But he wouldn't say anything to anybody. So you're right. That's exactly what he would do. And he was just and then down at practice, he was that guy. He was funny. He was super smart, by the way. Randy was, he comes across as country, very country.
Yes.
From West Virginia.
Yep, West Virginia.
And so he did have some of that in him. But he was very clever, and he was very smart, and he knew football. He had a very high IQ, football IQ. And he was an amazing guy. So I wish him well. I hope he gets through this safe and sound, and he gets back to being Randy Moss that we know, and back on TV and whatnot. So
what was he like when he walked in? After he was drafted, came here from Marshall University, set all these numbers, but there was, he bounced around schools. He was going to go to this one, and then that didn't pan out. Then he had to change schools and ended up at Marshall. And what was he like when he walked into camp and into your world?
He was a little bit shy, a little reserved, but very confident. You could just see it. The confidence just reeked all over him. But I caught him in the elevator, by myself, heading up to my room at the dorm over at Gage, and he was going up with me, and he just jumped on, and he had the big pounder chain on, he had the big dollar in gold, right, and everything, and I said, "Hey, you got a chance to be something pretty good here." That's what I said to him. I said, you're kind of like two or three different people I've played with already, all in one. I said, you're like Roy Green, you're like Art Monk, you're like Steve Largent, and all three of those, but better than they were. I told him that day one.
Really?
Yeah. He must have listened to me.
I think so.
Yeah. So I did tell him that. And I said, if you just keep it going and you just be the guy that you are, I said, you're going to be that guy. And we climbed off the elevator. I don't know if he said anything to me. And then we walked away. Then we became very good friends as time went on. And I would tape him up for his birthday. I would just wrap him up in athletic tape. It'd make him look like a mummy, and then put him on his stool and tape him to his stool in the locker room. And then I'd pick him up and put him over my shoulder and take him outside in the snow and put him down in the snow outside. And I'd put tape cutters in his mouth so he'd try and get out of it. So
what a great present.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were close friends.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like you really cared about the guy.
I did. And you mentioned also how great he really was. That's a good point. Because as good as we have it here right now with Justin Jefferson, and he's already gotten past most of Moss's records up till now. So he's unbelievable. But the way Moss did it, and you have to also understand that he had Chris Carter and Jake Reed and all that other crew that were getting footballs thrown to them too, is that he could leave people in his wake. He was so lightning fast and smooth. It didn't look like he was running. It looked more like he was floating. And he would do things you couldn't believe, even in the red zone where there's no room to move. He'd just run a route into the middle, running to the post, and then just buckle it back and head for the flag, for the corner of the end zone. And he'd have like 5 yards separation from being able to do it that well and that quickly. and just leave people, like playing high school kids. That's what it looked like. Like he was playing against high school kids. Hey, I remember him sitting on his stool telling Joe Theismann, before a game, Joe would come in and do a few things with each player.
Right, for the TV.
Just a little TV at the time. He was still on TV. And he said, what does all this mean to you, being drafted where you were? And of course, that he knew what button to push. He was drafted later than he wanted to and wanted to go to Dallas, and he didn't get that wish. So he just said, well, I'm here to tear the whole league up. That's what Randy said. I'm here to tear the entire league up. And Joe Theismann kind of looked at him like, oh, okay. And then that night, I think it was in Green Bay, he went out and caught 3 touchdowns and went up and got a football from 2 defensive backs twice for touchdowns. And that is what changed the NFC North, I think, in the way defense. I mean, all of the people in our division started getting bigger, longer, rangier defensive backs to guard him. So it was pretty funny. He was a game changer. And, Justin's a different kind of player. He runs great routes, but it was a different thing with Moss. If he hadn't, here's the Achilles heel for Randy Moss. He was in his own way a little bit by the way he played the media. And he would say things that he probably shouldn't say and get, reprimanded and then carted out like New England. He was given a bus ticket and an apple and a road map. And here's the guy that if he had just stuck with New England, he would have gone past Jerry Rice. I think, no question in my mind, he would have gone past Jerry Rice. But he sat in Oakland, I think, for a year, and I think Tennessee for a little while.
The Vikings sent him to Oakland first.
Yeah. And he was not, no one to throw him the ball anymore. And so it ended up being 157 touchdown catches instead of 200 something. And he would have done it in sooner time than Jerry Rice. But I think he was the greatest receiver. Totally. He was the best one.
I mean, I remember when you were in the Metrodome and he would take off down the far sideline and Cunningham would just reach back, and it was like you could hear all the seats folding up from 50,000 people standing up at once. Kind of like at church when they all flip the kneelers, everybody moves. You just hear, you could hear all those seats just flipping up all at once because they knew.
The ball's still in the air.
Yes.
But they're standing up and boom, you hear the flip. It's like a fan going off. I didn't hear that, but up where you were, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, you knew right away. It's just like they all just come right up. They knew what was about to happen.
Everyone would quiet because the ball was in the air. I remember that. It's just there was a silence knowing that it's up in the air and it's heading for Moss, and he's going to get it. He's going to go up and get it. And he could do that. And not, Jefferson can do the same thing, right? But he's going to have to go up and have to compete with a defensive back, He's
not 7 yards behind the defensive back.
Yeah. And Randy would go up. He was a physical mismatch, and he could just get one arm up in the air and one-handed. The softest hands maybe ever. Right up there with the best. Blitnikoff or whomever, he had hands like no one I'd ever seen before, okay? And he could go up and just one glove it. You remember the one from Brett Favre against the Jets, Darrelle Revis. He went up against the Revis Island and went up and just walked into the end zone with a one-hander. And he made it look effortless. He would just jog into the end zone after he caught it.
Yes.
He made him look like a fool. That's Darrelle Revis. But that's who he was. He's a different kind of player. Justin's got all the numbers. He does, and results are the judge. But Randy was dangerous, super dangerous, even when he was hurt. And he played hurt a lot.
Did he?
Yeah, oh yeah. He played hurt, and he didn't want to. Remember this when the streak was broken by? I think Mike Tice sat him for one week, and he was just so upset about the streak breaking. A little over 100 games. He wanted to, keep going and not miss games. Remember, he got upset in the newspaper.
Oh yeah, well he got upset a lot.
He
there are a lot of things. Whether it was the food that was catered in.
Yeah, that one had him.
That one got him in big trouble.
He got a road map on that one. He got sent somewhere else. That was the second time through here, right? Yeah. So I don't know, but it just really kind of ruined my day to hear that he had this serious disease. So let's hope he beats it. because he's a he was a great player. He's not anything like what people thought he was at all.
No.
Okay, but we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you about some of my good friends at that Helpful Hardware place. I'll let you know about that later.
You are now back in the zone, somewhere called Starstruck. We're going inside the mind of one of the greatest NFL long snappers. What's a long snapper, you say? Well, you're looking at one. He is the superstar, Mike Morris.
Thank you very much. And one of the best long snappers? What did you mean by that?
Well, I don't know anymore. so yes.
You meant the best, didn't you?
I'm sorry. Did that come out that way?
It came out as there are some that are as good as he is.
No, I've not met any. So no, zero.
You don't have to listen to any of this.
Nothing.
You guys, no, come back.
But you want to know what? Okay, you are the best.
I think I was.
And there you go. There's the endorsement. That's all you need. That's all you need is that endorsement. And then on top of that, there is a place to go that is the best.
Speaking of endorsements, I mean, he's talking about Ace Hardware, because Ace truly is the place with the helpful hardware folks. You think it ain't? You think it's not? And I want to ask you this. I know they've got a few sales and things going on all the time down at Ace Hardware's.
Okay.
And this, by the way, is Polici Ace Hardware. So there are 4 of those locations in Zumbrota and Egan and Rosemont and Farmington. Make sure you get to one of those 4 first for your needs. But I don't want you to wander around anymore in warehouses because paint is the big deal right now down at Ace. It's a big deal. And 2 of those top people would be the Benjamin Moore people and the Clark Kensington brands that they carry down at Ace Hardware. Get down there. They've got the technology to be able to match your paint, so you don't have to go home with a can of paint that you thought was about the right color, maybe close. We'll put it on the wall anyway. Just have them match the paint. It'll be absolutely perfect. You can go home and slap it on the wall and not have to do it 10 more times because the wife said you did it wrong. It's the wrong color. So do that. Get down there today. Tell them the superstar Mike Morris sent you. Polici Ace Hardware, again in Farmington, Rosemont, Egan, and Zumbrota. Do that today. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know the other thing about staying out of those big warehouses? You look really dumb walking around there. The dumb factor just goes off the chart because you have no clue what the hell you're looking at and trying to find.
And
what
someone
you're
walks up and says, "Can I help you?" No, I got it. No, I'm fine. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right. What do I do?
No. I mean, you didn't ask that guy if he needed help. You walked over to me because I look extra dumb and that I want someone to help me with finding paint. My God, I found it. And you're standing next to like the broomsticks. I mean, no, you're not even close. So good point. Point well made. Point well made.
You go to your guys, they're right there at the door. Boom, what do you need? Bang, here, let's go right there, and you're done.
Get out of there.
You don't have to go, hello. Is there anybody in here?
Could have had a layer on already. Could have had the first layer of paint on the wall.
Right. They know what you want. Boom, there you go. Give me this. Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's not guys that are like, can I help you? This is my first job.
Obnoxious people. It's part of the family. They've been around for over 30 years. Polici Hardware, Ace Hardware. And if you can get down there today, they will be more than glad to help you because they've been doing it for a long, long time. So do it. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware. Bulks. Can't say it. Still can't say it. But I'll work on that. I want those guys to change it for me. I want to ask them to change that.
Yeah, go to
FOLX.
Go to people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do it. People is perfect. Helpful hardware. People. It's got a ring to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk a little football. Get down there today, or else.
All right,
come out there and beat you up.
Here you go, Seahawks. A place where the Vikings have not had success. This does not appear to be a successful Seahawks season. Geno Smith may not be around. But if he's around, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. What do the Vikings need to do here to keep this tremendous run rolling.
Well, when you get on a 7-game roll in the NFL, that's a pretty big deal. I think in 1998 when we went 15-1, I think we had won 7. And then I think we dropped it to Tampa Bay, the 1 loss, and then we won out. And now you never know what you're going to run into, whether it's a team playing for personal pride. Some teams actually have that, believe it or not. Some people already have the car warming out in the parking lot. They just know they're going to be heading home to mom's place for the holidays, right? But there are a lot of people that know that if they don't play their best game, that they will be looked at as the problem on the team and, handed the roadmap and the apple and a choice of aisle or window seats. You can do that too. So you want to make sure you're putting your best foot out there and not phoning it in, because they can also view you as the problem and draft accordingly. So that may be the case. So you don't want to take anyone lightly. If they're playing hard, still they're playing hard. And they did play well last week. I saw them play their game. Oh, I forget who it was. I watch so many games every weekend. But they did play well. And until Gino went out, they were playing well. That's all I can tell you. But it's the kind of team this time of year that you have to be careful of, especially on the road. You can't get too set in your ways and too full of yourself and believing in whatever they're saying in the media. You just have to handle your business and go on the road and just take whatever comes. As Denny Green used to say, it could be a bad bed or a cold steak he would actually say those things. Really? You got to go out and play your game and play.
Overcome a bad bed.
A bad bed, a cold steak. So whatever it was, it worked that 1 year for us in '98. But that's how you have to handle it. And on the road, the 12th man out there, it's the only retired number in football history to be retired for the fans. Number 12 is retired for the Seahawk fans. And it's because they're loud. It's loud and it's crazy in there. So you got to play your best football. You really still, every week in the NFL, I don't care who you're playing. You got to play as well as you possibly can to win in the NFL. You're trying to extend to an 8-game winning streak. I mean, that's pretty special. That's really special. So we'll see what happens. But that Seahawk team is physical. The defense is big and physical. They have players, and you've got to be respectful of that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's so much at stake for the Vikings. So much is laying out there because division title, number 1 overall seed in the playoffs. There's a lot all of a sudden on that table. Besides that cold steak.
Besides the cold steak, yeah, exactly. I mean, I even ate mine without silverware. I would just chew on it. They said, "How do you like that steak? Just bring it out. Bring it out. I don't care. You don't have to cook it.
Yeah,
bring one out." So, and you have to overcome it, and you have to look. It's the turnovers, it's the takeaways, it's the penalties. If you're the team that comes out at the end of the game with fewer in both those categories, you're probably going to win it. It would take an incredible team to overcome more penalties, more turnovers, and still win a game. That's pretty tough to do.
Correct.
So there you have it.
We wish all our best to everyone out there, and of course, number 84. He's our guy.
He is our guy. And I'm so proud of Justin Jefferson for catching the touchdown in last Monday night's game against the Bears and saying, "We love you, Randy," right in the camera. He had the presence of mind to say that right in the camera. And I thought that Moss must be smiling big on that one. But so good for him. That's about it for us, though. And so for Jim Rich and myself, the superstar Mike Morris, tune in next week to another episode of Starstruck. That's what it is, Starstruck. Check it out. Bye-bye.
It is time. It is the place. This is where you need to go to become starstruck with the superstar Mike Morris, here to share thoughts of Christmas in the National Football League. Mr. Morris, how are you?
Heavy on the mister, first of all. I'm fine.
I could give you a double shot of mister.
Thank you. I'll take it. And it's a good subject matter that we're on. A nice title. The Christmas thing in the NFL.
How crazy is it to try to be, this is the heat of the moment in the NFL season, and then all of a sudden, Mike, the kids need new bikes.
Yep.
So how do the guys deal with the holidays?
Many, many ways. Different ways by everyone, including me. who has friends that really shouldn't be called friends because they do things that they do, and you wonder why you call them friends. Jeff Christie on Christmas Eve, trying to get home to set up shop. And, of course, he knows that. So I'm just straight into the story, right?
All right, let's go for it.
He disconnects my truck's batteries, 2 batteries. He disconnects them.
Come on. On
After
Christmas Eve?
He's taken it off the parking lot. He stole the keys out of my pocket, took the truck, and put it up on top of the shed down below where the greenskeepers have their garage and their space.
This is at the old Winter Park.
Yeah, so it's a grass knoll at the old place, and he parks it up on top. I'm surprised it didn't go through the ceiling.
Yes.
I mean,
it's like one of those houses that are built in the earth for those who've never seen it.
Exactly.
So you can drive up on the roof because it's
between the trees. He found a way between. It's a 1-ton truck. And I'm surprised he didn't go through that span. That span was not made for
span creep.
I would have died laughing if he'd been out there when I walked out. But he hurries out there, doesn't shower, puts my truck on top of the shed, and takes off. I have no idea. It puts the keys back in my pocket and takes off. So, number one, I take my key. This is Christmas Eve. Practice is over, and I'm trying to get out to start doing what I have to do, which is a list a mile long.
It's Santa-like.
Very much Santa-like, but not. And so I am outside trying to find my truck. First of all, where is the truck? Of course, I have stolen his before too. So he owed me a little bit too.
Yeah, but Christmas Eve.
But Christmas Eve was
that's a low,
ruthless payback.
Yes,
ruthless payback. So I find it up on the grassy knoll, kind of like the assassination attempt. You know,
which you're thinking about right now with Christie.
I'm thinking like, you know what? I didn't even know who had done it, but I had a good idea. But I didn't know at that time. I find it up there. Good. I've got my keys. Jump in. Turn the ignition. It isn't firing, of course. He's disconnected 2 batteries on this big 1-ton truck. I got to find tools to reconnect the terminals to the posts. Where am I going to? Got to find tools. I mean, I'm all over the place. Everyone's already gone home. I go down into the shed, knock on the door. Dale's down there. Dale lets me in. I need something to tighten my batteries are disconnected. So he helps me out, and I go up there. I have 2 of them to put back together again. I start off, and I get, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes back to Rosemont, and he calls, and he says, "Did you get the cheesecake that I sent in the mail?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Are you home yet?" "Nope. I had to do something with my truck." And he's like, "I just wanted to know. I sent like these big gift cheesecakes to everyone on the offensive line."
This is Christie.
Yes, Jeff, checking to see if I'd gotten out of there yet. His way of checking without telling me that he'd done it. And I just said, "Look, horse's ass. I know that it's you now. You are just dumb enough to call me and ask me what the situation is. You have never, ever called me." And he did send a cheesecake every year, by the way. I said, "I don't know. I haven't been home yet. I haven't gotten home yet to find out whether or not your cheesecake got there. But I know why you called now. So thanks a lot." And it's on again. Now it's my turn for you. But anyway, so that's a typical Christmas for me, at least, and all over the place with John Randall, shopping at the same time with John Randall over at Toys R Us. I mean, it's just, oh my God, the stories. But that's what it was. And it was practice on Christmas Eve. It was practice on Christmas Day. It was play on Christmas Day. A number of scenarios where you just have to go play football like you do on Thanksgiving. I had to play a couple times on Thanksgiving Day. So you just have to put everything on hold. I mean, in the morning when you wake up to go to practice on Christmas Day, you got to get the kids up and have their moment out under the tree. And then you have to say, "I got to go to practice." Okay, I have to go practice. So that was the NFL. And you show up, and Denny would say something like, "Where would you rather be? At home with the wives and kids, or here with the men?" Quite frankly, Coach, I think I'd like to go down to just stay at my house and let you guys practice. No, anyway, but he did say that. He did say that for real.
You know what, though? You had that long list And if you knew now where to go back then, you would have been done lickety split.
No trouble.
And I bet you know.
And I'll tell you where it was. Ace was the place with the helpful hardware folks that I was able to find in 4 locations. Palici Hardware, Ace Hardware, for God's sakes. Palici's Ace Hardware. Get it in 4 different locations. It only took me 1 stop in Rosemont. And they have one in Zumbrota. They have one in Egan. They have one in Farmington. Okay, so get to one of those 4 locations and pick up whatever you need. They've got it all right there. Don't wander. Be helped. Don't wander through the big warehouse trying to find your paint. They've got paint beyond belief. They've got the best companies that you could possibly imagine. They got Benjamin Moore and they've got the Clark Kensington brands there. Make sure you have someone help you find it, and don't walk around like a dumb ass. Okay, and get the right paint. They have the technology to go ahead and mix your paint and match your paint and fix it all up and send you home with the right stuff, so you don't have to come back again because you're dumb and you tried to do it on your own. See what I'm saying? I mean, just save yourself the bother. They will do that for you. They'll put it together, send you home with a nice, neat package for Christmas, and you can start painting and not get nagged at the same time. Do that, okay? Palici Ace Hardware is the place. With the helpful hardware folks, tell them the Superstar Mike Morris sent you.
All right. And lastly, the Christmas with John Randall. Give me 2 minutes of Randall and you in Toys R Us. That sounds intriguing to me.
Running around, John was running through places, trying to get to the places he knew I wanted to go to, and trying to buy the last one of what I needed too. He's running in front of me and picking up stuff off the shelf. I don't know why you're even at this place. I don't know why you're at this Toys R Us. This is in my territory. You know, this is my ground. It's the only Toys R Us that I know of. It's in Bloomington over there. It used to be over there.
Yep.
And he and I are over there apart trying to get the last minute stuff done. And he is running because I told him, you're like, what are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for this, this, and this. The popular toys. He's out of the truck, sprinting to the store to get the last one. If it's down to 1 more, maybe 2 more, he's going to buy both of them. 2 more. He'll buy both.
And then sell it to you
and then
double.
sell it to me double. But yeah, it was. I'll never forget running through Toys R Us with John Randall trying to get my shopping list done. Ridiculous. And of course he wins because he's a complete spaz all day. He's a complete nonstop, just a machine, nonstop. Anyway, that's the other story. We can go into a whole list of those too. Like as long as my shopping list was, I've got a list as long of times that we did the different stuff with different players, including taking people's lockers outside and parking them in the snow that night. And they couldn't shower because their stuff was out in their locker. The whole locker was out in the middle of the field. Put it on a dolly. And
I saw
the whole thing out there.
I saw about that.
I put a hose out there over the top so they could shower out there.
That's kind of you.
Yeah.
That's kind of you.
I used to think of everything.
All right. Wish them all a happy holiday and Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Just what he said. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And keep listening to the Starstruck podcast, and we'll keep bringing you content, okay? Jim Rich, Mike Morris, we're out of here.